Hello, welcome to Ms. Stewart's lesson on note taking. I know many of you are taking classes online, but good note taking skills are applicable to any kind of class, whether online or in person. First of all, let's look at effective note taking. This is from Lakehurst University. Just a few notes here. Prepare for class, so prepare for your online class. If you have any reading, do that before class. Review any notes from the previous unit you did. Make sure you have all your materials there. Of course, arriving on time is your own time, but having a set time to do classes is really good. Copy information on your screen, not your board, and do sit where you can hear and do your work thoughtfully and without interruption. Keep notes in a binder. So if you are taking notes, have a notebook or a theme book or something that you can put notes, put dates that when you took the notes, put the title. After the class, read through your notes, make your necessary change. Write them on one side of the page so it's easier to flip through and see what you have. Finally, from Lakehead, making your notes, writing phrases. Try to put information in your own words. If you miss information, you can always leave it blank, put a star, put a blank, and you can go back and review that. And then when you don't understand something, you can ask questions. You say, well, hey, this is recorded stuff, or this is pre-printed stuff on the screen. Well, you can always send those questions to your instructor. And if you know other classmates taking the class, maybe you can compare notes with them. All right, so Penn State suggested listen, look, think, understand, paraphrase, and write. And this is very similar. Note-taking suggestions are pretty even across the board, whoever's giving it. So listen carefully. I know there's an option to have them read the screen to you. You might, if you have a high auditory learning skill, I would use that. Look very carefully, think about what you're writing and looking at and what they're trying to give you, and try to understand that. So you may have to stop and say, hey, what am I doing? What's going on here? And then paraphrase or think about, again, in your own words, how could you write that down in your notes? All right, Cornell method is to divide the paper in two columns and two rows. And you want to use loose leaf notebook paper right on the right side of the page. Divide the paper, I'll show you a picture. Divide the paper vertically by drawing a line from top to bottom and about 1 to 2 inches from the left side of the page. So here's a picture of what that looks like. Here you go. So the idea is you take notes on this side in the big column, and then later when you're studying, you use this side to recall. So write down a single term or a main idea, and then go over here, try to say to yourself, well, this is what I learned, and you can go back over here and see if you got it right, and then write a summary. This is a good review method, especially in preparation for tests or other work. The Cornell note-taking system, here's an example. So maybe I'm writing about a person about Amelia Earhart. And so I write down first career, why did she want to fly, what are some achievements. These might be the notes that I took. And then on the left, I'm just summarizing a word or two. And then later, again, if you do this on loose leaf paper, you fold this over and just look at this side and say, can I tell about her first career? Can I say why she wanted to fly? Can I say her achievements? Can I say what happened to her? Things like that. And then again, writing a summary is really good because it'll help you sort of synthesize or keep that information in your head. All right, the SOARS method, this is actually a technique that they teach here at the community college as a book written by Ms. McCutcheon, who teaches classes and has developed classes on study skills. And she has a method called SOARS, singled out. So there might be bold writing, there may be some subtitle, but it's somehow shown as being, this is important. It's on the screen. If they take the time to put it on the screen, I know all of this is presented on the screen, but especially again, if it's in bold writing, it's got a subtitle, that's a good thing. Ask. They may ask you a question, maybe on the study guide that you have, or you have a question, and the answer is within the material. Is it repeated? Do they keep asking you about some item? And is it stressed? Again, that may have to do with the amount of time they put into the material. They may write multiple paragraphs or maybe a video. They're stressing that this is important. That's the SOARS method. And then when you are listening to a lecture, whether you're listening to the recording there online, or you're in class, in a physical class or a virtual class where a teacher is talking, sometimes we zone out. We go, well, I'm going over here and taking a mental vacation. So keep your ears peeled so that you can think of verbal clues. Is the teacher repeating something? That's the time to start paying attention again. The instructor makes an announcement. This is important to know. You need this material. It's an issue, something that has been debated. Either the teacher's going to present two sides or there's a discussion going on. These are all things that says, hey, perk up, listen, I need to pay attention. Personality clues from the instructor. The instructor may be pacing and then stops. Usually that's a sign that, hey, I'm about to say something important. The instructor speaks more loudly or even softly. In other words, they change their volume of how loud they're talking because they're trying to emphasize this is important. Instructor speaks more quickly. Sometimes we get excited and we think, oh, wow. And so we go, yeah, and start talking really fast. That's another clue that maybe I need to pay attention. And then the instructor's up there gesturing and pointing at things, waving their hands, oh, look, this is important. I'm showing you something. They may be pointing at the screen, writing on the board. All those are clues that says, hey, maybe I should pay attention. So the question is, should you use technology? Well, you are using technology for your online classes. So always be careful. But be careful when you're doing your online class that you don't have your phone out or you're looking for your text or your latest Facebook notification, your TikToks, your Twitters, whatever case that is, so that you're distracted. You don't want to be distracted. So it's easy to have one internet tab open for your class, and then suddenly you're opening other internet tabs and you're looking at all sorts of things. And then as you write your notes, don't use texting language because you may not exactly remember what does that mean. So, and of course you'd never want to use texting language in your writing assignments. So you use these notes for studying tests, doing your online assignments, understanding any readings you're doing, preparing the homework or quizzes, writing papers and projects. There's a lot of papers and essays and small writing assignments you have to do in the APEX class, and the notes will help you with that. To prepare for the next lesson, they should be all interconnected, especially during a unit. If you were taking science, you would use that for your lab. In your work environment, there may be things that you learn in doing this, taking notes. For instance, if you're on a job where the boss comes by and says, I need you to do this, this, and this, then you can start learning to do notes, either writing them down or doing a mental note or any other thing you have to remember. And then later, when you do college classes, these note-taking will help you with licensure tests. So when you get to college side, you really don't want to toss any of that information. Sticky notes are great. Now you're not using textbooks unless you're using the reading books that you have to use in some of the English classes. But making short notes on sticky notes, you can stick them on your screen, you can stick them on the wall next to where you study. And these can be important concepts and a way to sort of say, hey, look at me. Be engaged, be prepared, ask questions. These are all ways to stay involved in the class, even if you're doing an online class. Don't forget to contact the instructor when you need help or need to discuss something. And write questions down as you go so you have those ready as you move through the material. So don't forget, take notes. They're really helpful. I know that other instructors like Mr. Wright have said, hey, take notes on this. Now, the Apex does have study guides, and you can use those to fill in and use as your note-taking device, but also just a couple sheets of paper, get you a notebook or something, and just make notes. Just label where you're taking the notes or the title of the lesson, put the date there, so you can go back and track what it is you were taking notes. So I hope this helps, and good luck with your classes.